questions for the coaches this morning, just use the chat feature or raise your hand icon. Now, pleased to be joined on the call by the head coach at Rhode Island, Jim Fleming. Good morning, Coach Flem.
How you doing, Rob?
I'm good. Voice is getting a little better.
Getting a little bit better, yeah. A lot of hooting and hollering after that game.
First of all, just congratulations to you and your guys. As Rick said, to go undefeated in the CAA is not an easy accomplishment. First time in your program's history. Talk about what that moment meant for your guys on Saturday.
Well, the moment meant a great deal to us, obviously, to finish off, undefeated in conference. Before what it gets to, what it meant to us. It means to me that that we're just proud representatives of a very good conference who I truly believe is being underregarded in the national picture. I'm not trying to get political here or not, but I mean, I look at Albany. Anybody can beat anybody on any given Saturday in this league, and I think that's been proven time and time again over the 12 years I've been in this conference. And really proud of the people that had great success this year and are joining us in the playoffs. I'm sick for Monmouth. I know that they put all their efforts into it, but we had a tremendously talented conference top to bottom, and couldn't be more proud to be able to represent this conference on the national stage, and hopefully we can present it in the right way, represent it in the right way. But to us, it was a fabulous day. You're undefeated, you're at home, get a chance to raise the trophy in front of family, friends, and all the Rhodey faithful. So it was an accomplishment that we had set as a goal, and we accomplished it. Anytime you do that, you feel very good.
First question for you this morning from Steve. Good morning, Steve.
Morning, Rob. Thanks, Coach. Good morning to you, too. Just talk about the difference, Coach, if you can, between winning one CAA championship, as you did last year, and winning back-to-back CAA titles, and what that says about your program.
I haven't reflected a whole bunch on it. You kind of take it in stride, but certainly, when you look back, to do anything back-to-back, I think is difficult. That you get your schedule whenever they put it out there, and you look at it and you said, okay, this is a schedule that, we're going to have to play extremely well to be able to, get back into the seat we were at last year. And what it says about our program, I think, is that, you raise the bar of your level of expectation, both internally and externally. A lot of coaches, myself included, say, hey, it only matters the people in this room, but our state is looking at us. Our government has invested heavily in our program. There's a lot of interest in Rhode Island football now that might not have been that way 12 years ago, but there's more of a feeling of responsibility to all the people that follow and support us to be able to present a good product and to present a winning product, and we'll carry that with us as we go into the playoffs. So it's certainly meaningful. It's something tough. I think, as we shift pages and talk to the kids this morning, just about starting a new season, a 5-game season that, God willing, you have an opportunity to go one at a time again. It's an incredible honor, but that really shifts your focus, and maybe time for reflection will happen later on.
And Coach, if you could, a word about CCSU. They gave you a battle last year in the same spot of the season. And they've got Brady Olson at quarterback, Elijah Howard at running back, two guys that cause a lot of concern.
Yeah, I watched their last game versus Mercyhurst and see them wrap up their season as a champion. And then I went back and I watched our playoff game last year in its entirety. And they play hard, man. I mean, they play hard as heck. They've got talent at quarterback. You've already mentioned the running back. He's a real pain. He went for over 100 against us last year. Defensively, they run around and strike. They're similar to us in the sense that they're very fundamental. They're very sound in what they do. Everybody, it's a tough out for them, and they've held people's scores down quite a bit. Looks like anybody in a long season, there've been a couple of aberrations where people hung some points on them, but they're top to bottom a very, very competitive football team. And you always try to compare, does a team like Central Connecticut, how is that compared to the CAA people we play? I think they're very comparable. I think they're well coached, and they're going to have a great amount of belief coming in here. It was a 21-17 game last year. We ended up having a pick six by Emmanuel Gomes. They blew a coverage, and Tommy Smith picked up. That was our first 14 points. And then, they held it down until late. We picked up a late touchdown and were able to hold on for the victory. They did a number of things right, and they could have easily walked away with that game. So we're certainly on alert and very aware this is a good team coming in here.
Thanks, Coach. Thanks, Rob.
Yeah. Question for you, Jim, from Kevin. Good morning, Kevin.
Mac.
Good morning. Congratulations, Coach. I'm curious. How are you? Congratulations. I'm curious. How do you think you're better prepared for this postseason than you were last season? Obviously, you have some holdovers, and yet it's a different group as well.
Well, I think that our quarterback situation is different. If you remember last year, we lost Evan in the Delaware game. We had Hunter Helms, who had to finish the season for us. Was proud of Hunter's performance and how he was able to get the win versus Central and got us over to Mercer, and we couldn't close that one out. I think that's a difference. Anytime you got Dev Farrell, out there playing quarterback and operating, I truly believe that he is worthy of the, offensive player of the year in the conference. He's just done so many different things spectacular. And then you've got the experience of being here before. We won 2 championships. We were in the playoffs last year. It's not new to us. We know that we're going to have to step up and how to approach those things. And and I think truthfully, however you gauge your team, I just think we're playing better ball at the end of this year than we were playing at the end of last year. It just seemed like we're on an upward trend as we head into the playoffs, which is comforting.
Great.
Jim,
thank you.
Jim, for some of your veteran guys like AJ and Marquise and Dev, who have kind of come out and said that they came back to make another run at this thing, what was their mentality, and how motivated and excited are they to get another shot?
Well, it's hard to gauge a little bit. We were at the selection show yesterday, and obviously excited to be able to get into the playoffs. I think our kids, like I was, were hopeful that we were going to get a first round bye. I was hoping that for our conference, and that didn't come through. But I don't think there was any disappointment. But they're still coming down off of a high a little bit. Had a championship game. I think we went out and practiced well today. They're fairly steady Eddie competitors. They know that what's gotten here to this point right now is the thing we need to hang our hat on going forward. I think the piece that we continue to point out to them is just as the season gets longer, so is the mental fortitude and the mental toughness to be able to manage a tough schedule, exams, all the things that are coming at them right now, and still getting rest and hydration and nutrition and making sure they're able to perform at their very best on Saturdays. So they've got a good attitude, and they're taking it in stride. And I think we've been very fortunate to have really good leadership, not only from the senior class and the captains, but it filters all the way through our program. Guys know how to work, and we're practicing the right way.
During this 6-game win streak, it seems like you guys have ever since the last loss have just kind of taken it to another gear. Both offensively, your defense has improved, and your special teams have been really good. I mean, Garth has been a money guy kicking for you all year long. Have you seen the same thing? And you talked about it briefly about the uptick as compared to last year. But do you feel like your team is playing as well as they have all year?
I think right now at this moment, yeah, I do. I was disappointed in the penalties. They came back and rose to an astronomical level once again this last weekend. We got up to 13 again. So maybe and it's hard to explain, but I think that you're mentioning, when we stubbed our toe versus Brown, I thought that was a devastating loss, because it's Brown.
Mm-hmm.
But it didn't affect us in conference. But I think it was a wake-up call for our guys. I think that they really took control of the team at that point in time. Coaches coach, and coaches set standards, and coaches can give you the game plan and the blueprint, and that's followed to a T at times. Sometimes it wavers a little bit in terms of the little things that make a difference. But when the kids make a decision to increase their accountability and push each other to a high level, then I think that's what's really happened since the Brown game, and we've been playing pretty good there. And ever since the off week, we went Elon, Maine, and now finished up versus Hampton. I think we've been playing some some really, really good ball with a couple of spurts here and there that get you upset, but still we're holding people down score wise, and we're hanging some points up there. So I think we're operating at a very high level, and probably the best we played all year.
All right, Jim, thanks so much for doing this. Good luck on Saturday against Central Connecticut.